And also when I'm going to be covering this how to write a blog aspect, if you have questions, please stop me. I do have the chat open and one in part of my screen here, and I do have the participants on my other screen, so I'll let them in as they come in. I will be sharing my screen so that you guys can get an idea, of exactly what I'm doing. So I'm not just teaching theory. So I'm going to go ahead and start that right now. So now, for the people that are here now, by show of hands, who has any experience in WordPress? Just raise your hand if you do.
Just a little.
A little bit? Okay. So that's okay if you don't. Now, in my opinion, I believe WordPress is, if you're going to be doing a blog, is actually, let me see here. There we go. We'll share that one. WordPress is probably one of the better or best platforms for doing that. So let me go ahead and hide this so we can see everybody. So can everybody see my screen? Give a thumbs up if you can. Fantastic. That's good to know. So I don't know where the participants went. Okay, oh, there it is. So anyway, so right now you should see the WordPress meetup. This I actually just formed this about 2 months ago, and the reason for it was that when I lived in Vegas pre-COVID, I used to go to a lot of different meetup groups. Used to go to the bloggers meetup, the podcast meetup, the SEO meetup, the social media meetup, the WooCommerce one, the work, just so many different ones. So when I moved to Raleigh, I noticed they didn't really have them. So I started this up back in mid to late February. So this has only been going for like a few months. We have met in person a few times. However, I'm starting to lean to doing everything online. So people like Jason or people like Genevieve that are from outside of the Raleigh-Durham area, so that they can actually join us. So that way I can influence more people. And we have somebody else just joining us. Let me go ahead and admit them in. So we have Alana just joining us right now. And for those of you that aren't sharing your video, you're more than welcome to share your video as well as your microphone. This is not a muted conversation. Hello, Sierra. Thank you for just turning on your camera. So right now, for those of you, so this is one of the things I did a bit of pre-research on as to like, what are the best blogging sites. So you can do this on your own Google, and it was saying Blogger, Tumblr, Wix, WordPress, Medium, Weebly, Squarespace, Ghost, and Drupal are, according to Google, are the 9 best ones. In my opinion, WordPress is the best, is because it's the one that's, to me, the most versatile. The reason I'm saying that is your website is going to be like a cell phone. And depending how much of a smartphone that you want will depend on which one that you're using. Now, WordPress, I think is the best, is because they have a lot of these things called plugins, and plugins are like apps on your cell phone. So there's a lot of additional features that you can get from using a WordPress site. Now, if you don't want a WordPress website, you can still use WordPress.org for free and just keep your blog on that one platform. So you don't have to have a WordPress website, but you still can have a WordPress blog. And to my understanding, when WordPress first started out, they were a blogging platform. Before they became, a website design company or platform, they were initially a blogger platform from like 20 years ago. From my experience, what I have heard, let's just go ahead and let's actually just put this to the test. So let's go open up a new Google window. And oh, okay. Websites nationwide. We look like we lost somebody visually, but they're still on. So what I found that whenever you're looking at WordPress websites, they make up about 35% of the world's platform. And they're growing bigger each and every month. So if you don't have one, if we don't have a website yet, I would strongly suggest getting one that's in WordPress and then and building it from there. And there's plenty of YouTube videos that you can use for aid. You could give me a call and we could sit down and possibly go through some of this as well. But anyway, I want to go ahead and show you what it looks like when you have a WordPress site. When you first log in, you're going to be going into, my company is called optimalperformanceacademy.org. So for an example, I'm going to log out just so that you have an idea what it looks like when you create a WordPress website. Okay, so when you first log in, I'm going to go ahead and do this for myself. I'm going to go to optimalperformanceacademy.org/WP-admin, and then it takes me to this screen here. This is my logon screen. When you first get a WordPress site and you turn it on your hosting platform, doesn't matter if you're using GoDaddy, SiteGround, Bluehost, whichever one that you have, you will turn it on your platform, and then you'll be able to set up your password. When you first log in to WordPress, you're going to go to something that looks a little bit like this. Now, yours is going to be different than mine, only because I have a large number of plugins, or I have a large number of apps that I'm using in the platform. Now, when the most basic one, you're going to see just a few of these. However, you're going to see one that says pages, and you're also going to see one that says posts. The difference between these two is a post is a blog post, a page is a separate page on your website. So whenever you are creating you're starting to do your blog, you want to go in and create it as a post. In my case, I think I have like 8 blogs. I just released one yesterday. So I'm going to go and show you what this looks like in the beginning. Now you will see these are some old ones. These are all of my blogs that I have written in the past. You're going to get the sorted by title, by author, by the categories that you set, by any tags that you create, and then any comments if you're allowing comments, and then what was the date and time that it was actually published. You won't see these 4 columns. These last 4 columns you're not going to see until you download a specific plugin. Now, whenever you're doing any kind of a blog, there's a few things that you are wanting to do. Now, who in here, by a show of hands, who in here uses Chrome as their default browser? Sierra, do you use a different platform, Sierra? Oh, you do use Chrome? Robin, yourself?
I use Safari, and I use the one by Microsoft.
You use Chrome, Safari, Netscape?
I use Safari, and I use the Microsoft one, which I can't remember the name of, Bing.
Okay.
Bing.
So you use, well, you won't be able to see my screen. You're only seeing this here. So, okay, so that is another one. Now, one of the things I am going to suggest that you do if you're using Chrome before you start blogging is to download 2 very specific, what they call extensions. Now, these are all free. So how do you get to your extensions? If you have, you want to go to these 3 dots on the top right-hand side. Scroll down here where close to the bottom, like 2/3 of the way down, you're going to see what it says more tools. And then under more tools, you want to go under what's called extensions. Okay. Probably the most important extension that you can do, and I don't know if Bing does these or not, the most powerful extension that you can use is one that's called Grammarly. Now, what you would do is, in my case, I already have it downloaded and turned on. But if you don't, you can search the extensions here at the top. So go ahead and do Grammarly. Now, Grammarly is basically a grammar specific. It's just your grammar. Like say if you're typing in Microsoft Word and a word is misspelled, it will have a little red underline. Or if your sentence is not in the right tense or whatever, it will have a little blue underline. Those are your suggestions how you use it in Microsoft Word. The exact same thing happens in Grammarly. Now, I would say be very, very careful when you first turn it on. You want to make sure that you not only that you're using English, but you're also using the proper English. For an example, when I first had Grammarly, it was using the British version of English. So as I was typing the word theater, Theater, it said it was misspelled. They wanted me to spell it with TRE. So make sure that you have the right setting when you download Grammarly. Now, this is going to help you a lot in your blogging, because it's going to give you a suggestion of what you should be doing as far as your sentencing is going. Because the last thing you want to do is you want to write a blog that has misspellings, that has a poor grammar, poor tense, or whatever. So you definitely want to make sure that you're using the right one, the right kind of grammar. The other one that you may want to do, and this is for all of you business owners who are looking to grow your business, is one that's called Keywords Everywhere. Okay. Now, has anybody have any experience with Keywords Everywhere? Or has anybody even heard of it? No? Okay, so this is what I'm going, so what I'm going to do is, as you can see, you would actually download it here, and then this little blue button here would turn it on or turn it off. You will also see up here in the top right-hand corner, these are most of my extensions up here just below the tab. So these are other extensions that I have turned on. So I'm going to show you what happens when I turn off Keywords Everywhere. I'm going to go and I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to search, and I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. So let me say I'm a business coach. As an example. So I'm going to be searching this. So over here is going to be the Google search results. It's looking at around this zip code, and then it's going to be here, and then it's going to give me some other suggestions here on the right-hand side. Notice as I scroll down that there's a lot of wasted real estate right here. Do y'all see that? It's all white. What Keywords Everywhere does is it improves your Google searches. So I'm going to go back up here and I turn, as y'all can see, I turned Keywords Everywhere back on, and I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in business coach again and hit the enter button. So it gave me a new result. But now as I go down, I've got all these extra pieces here in that real estate. Like, what are some other keywords that people are using? So when you're writing your blog about a particular subject, this will give you more keywords that you may want to have in your blog, because those are the words that Google is going to be searching for. So for an example, there's training keywords there. And there's also now here it says that the related keywords. So you may, in my case, if I'm writing a story about business coaching, I may want to have these other ones in my searches as well, depending. So this is all dependent about whatever it is that you will be blogging about, or whatever it is that you're doing. Another one is here as well. People also search for, and then there's also what's called the long tail keywords. So with you will notice that all of these extra pieces has that little logo, the red K with a black icon with a black background. That tells you that's the Keywords Everywhere. I can also, it's not showing up here, but if I were to, I don't know if I could do that. If I were to maximize this screen, it still did not show up. So it is active. But usually it will show up here as well. Oh, no, excuse me, there it is right there. So that's showing that extension is now active. So I can go to that Keywords Everywhere. I can move it to wherever I want, and then I can go there, and then this is some other information that you can get as well. And I've got the United States English version turned on, as you can see. So again, if you had Australian, and for the ladies from Toronto, you may want to change it to Canada. So that's some of the pre-stuff that you want to take a look at before you actually get started. So now let's go ahead and talk about another thing that you're going to have to be completely aware of. And this is so that you don't get into any kind of trouble. When I mean trouble is, don't use copyrighted images. Whenever you're writing a blog, most likely you're going to have at least one image in that blog. Would you all agree? Say yes.
Maybe.
Yes. So
My-
for an example, I'm going to go to my blog. Well, this is actually, I'm going to go, I go to my blog. So this is this is what we're kind of talking about today. Is I have a blog in today's modern times, and there's the image that goes with it. Okay, so you always want to have an image that goes with the blog. If I were to open up the blog and say this one right here, open up, that's still going to be the default image. Okay, now you cannot just go to Google and download an image, because most likely you're downloading a copyrighted image. So whenever you're doing images in your blogs, there's 3 ways that you can do images. Number one, buy the image. Go to something like Getty Images, go to Shutterstock, or something along those lines, and actually just purchase that image. I would not recommend doing that. The second thing you can do is you can actually take the picture yourself. This picture here for this this bank, I took that picture in Norfolk, Virginia. So that's one. So I have 100% rights for that image because I took the image. I took the picture myself. The third thing you can do is go to what is known as a royalty-free image platform. There's 4 that I am aware of, and I suggest you probably write these down. The one that I use the most is something known as Unsplash. Okay, these are again all royalty-free images where you do not have to credit the photographer. If you go to a website that people are putting their images up there where you have to credit the photographer, you need to have that somewhere in your blog, probably at the very tail end. Image by Kevin Dunlap, or from Getty Images, wherever it is that you got it from. Now, what Unsplash does is that the photographers will go up and they will take pictures, random pictures, and upload them to Unsplash for anybody in the world to use. Now, I create a lot of online programs. I create a lot of covers. I create a lot of Facebook ads. So I download about 90% of my pictures are from Unsplash. As a way to give back, because I've downloaded so many of them, you may want to, I'm going to show you my statistics. I've uploaded 188 photos to Unsplash. You can see it right here in the lower left-hand corner. I've uploaded 188 photos. If I were to scroll down, in the last 30 days, I've had 161,000 views and 685 downloads. If I go to all time, I've had 2.3 million views of my photos and almost 11,000 downloads of my images. Okay, and all my images are basically just pictures of different things. Like here's the Las Vegas sign, or here was Cadillac Ranch in Oklahoma. This one here is the Las Vegas Strip with nobody around, because that was the first couple of days of COVID. So I've uploaded 188 different photos. And let's say, for an example, for us North Carolina people, this is the Bodie Lighthouse in Cape Hatteras, okay, in the Outer Banks. On that photo, there's been 43,000 views and 73 downloads. The words that they're searching for, you can see this is the location, because I tagged the location. Let me, is it under info? Well, anyway, so that's that image there. Now, for some reason you're searching for lighthouses and you want to use that image, just go up here, hit the download button, and then you can give them a donation, or if you want to give them credit, you can. Usually, I do not. I know people don't do it to me. And now I have the image right here as part of my downloads. And now you can mess around with it as you like. So again, this can be X out in the upper left-hand corner. So you can search about anything. Jason, type of word, or give me an item that you would like to do a search for. Just one thing. Doesn't matter what you say.
I don't know. Nature.
Okay, I'm going to say bicycle. Okay, so maybe you're talking about doing things with the bicycle. So now here's Unsplash Plus, you pay for, but here's a whole bunch of other images for just say the word bicycle. And if you're writing a blog about biking, or maybe family get together or something like that, you can start using these. So I'll just click on it and open it up, download. It downloads, and now you see this Adobe-Ramos-Sketty ... So that's now an image that you can use in your blog. Now, one thing I am going to say to be very cautious on, I'm going to open up a new tab, and essentially this is going to be canva.com. And one of the things you want to do when you're doing your images, notice all of these images are the exact same size. Okay. If I go to my previous website, and I'm starting to fix this a little bit, but I did not do this. This is from a couple of years ago. Now, you will start noticing, like, this is when I had my podcast. Notice the images are all different sizes. So you want to make sure, just for consistency and just for how your image looks out, that you want to make sure you do always the same size. Now, what you're going to be doing here is when you go to Canva, by show of hands, who is familiar with Canva? So Jason and Genevieve, you're not. Okay, so what Canva does, Canva is a free tool that is extremely powerful. You can make flyers on here. You can make handouts. You can make worksheets. You can make what do they call it? Infographics. You can work with images. You can make a square image. You can make a round image. There's a lot of things that you can do with Canva. For consistency, you want, whenever you are working with your image, is that you want to go and click on this a blue button that says create a design. When you create a design, I would always suggest, when you're doing your blog, always do presentation 16:9. That means a 16:9 image. By the way, your laptop computer screen is 16:9. If you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, it's 16:9. So it is by far the most useful one that you can use. So what you just click on that. That will open up a new tab. And now you can move your image onto what they call the canvas. Now, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be stretching this image so that it fits precisely inside this 16:9 rectangle. Now, all that you do is you just grab a corner or a side, and then you just drag it until it kind of just locks in place. Because if you keep dragging it, you'll see the image actually disappears when it gets outside the box. So you want to go do that and also do it on the other side. And right now, I like that, but maybe, well, I can't stretch the back end any further, but I can actually say, I don't like all this dead space up front here. Maybe I just keep scrolling it in, move it up a little bit, and that's going to make sure that there's no white, make sure there's no white showing on the sides. And then say, okay, if I like that, now you can go ahead and just save that image. You do that by going to the share button, scrolling down just a little bit, and hit where it says download. When you're doing that, by default, it says it's going to be a PDF. You do not want to use a PDF. What you want to do is use either a JPEG or a PNG. Now, the PNG is going to be a higher quality, but in the future, it's going to be shrunken down to a smaller size. So I typically go with the JPG or the JPEG. Go and hit that, and you will see that now that it's going to be, I can hit the download button. And then you'll get this pop up, and then you'll see the design come up down here. By default, it's going to say untitled design. That's going to be the default title. If you put any text onto this screen here, whatever text you may do, then whatever the first text that you use, that's going to become the new default name. And then with that, I typically just get that and just drag it to my background. So you're not going to be able to see it because I'm going off screen, but it is now on my background. You will see before, as an example, the one I was doing about the one about the bank. Notice that that's a lot more square than it is rectangle. So when I was using it for my image, I actually had to cut that into a smaller piece. Now, for those of you that are brand new to Canva, you can do a whole bunch of other things. And I'm not going to get into that too much because that's something you can just play around with. But you can do all things like say like adding an element. And if I was actually creating, let's go back to not media. If I go to Facebook as an example, of something that I did in Canva that was to help promote this to promote this course. And I'll go over here to events. Okay, where's it? Events. And you'll see that the image that I use on Facebook to promote this is not a meetup. I put this little box up there. I put some text in there, put another little box there, and then put some text in there. So now I have an image that I can use on like LinkedIn or on Facebook or some other site to promote this event. And I'm using the exact same image that I did for this actual meetup. So if I were to scroll up to the top, you'll see I just used the image of the girl on the computer, but on Facebook, I added the other stuff as well. So for those of you that don't have any experience, play around with Canva. It's free, and just play around with it. Now you're ready to go ahead and start doing your blog. Now let's go ahead and say that you've got your image saved. Now that's a good image that you're going to use. On WordPress, you want to go ahead and go to this tab that says media. Media is where you house all of your images as well as all of your PDFs or anything that you're going to be sharing with somebody else. So I'm going to go ahead and hit my media file. And now I can hit add new. And this is something you guys would probably have to take some pretty strong notes on, because this is something you probably would never hear from anybody else talking about blogging. So I'm going to go ahead and add a new button. This little rectangle showed up. I'm going to go ahead and scroll and move that bicycle image over. And you'll see right now, there's the image. Now, one of the things about when you have a WordPress site and you start having a lot of images is that you want to make sure the speed of your website is as quick as possible. So the first thing you want to do is once you click on the image, is you want to get this image to be SEO friendly. So that basically means you're going to be adding something in here that was known as the alternate text, as well as in the description. I would normally say leave caption alone. Don't do anything in the caption. Now, does anybody visit or ever go to any news website? By show of hands, who's ever been to a news website?
Everywhere.
Nobody?
Everywhere.
Okay, on a news, on a lot of news websites, doesn't matter if you're, which site that you go to, you will see like here, like at the very top, here's the title, and maybe there's a little insert as what the thing's going to be about. Then you have the image. Then you have it in a much smaller font what the image is about, and then you will have the text of the actual of the news article. Those little words below the image, that's the caption. Okay, so I would suggest avoid using caption at all costs. Now, one of the things the alternate text and the description is very important. What you want to write in the alternate text and the description and I usually say is exactly the same thing. So whatever words that you want to be known for, you want to have it in this area. So for an example, let me say I was writing a blog on family exercising together. So I go family time together is a great way to build relationships. Make sure you spell everything correctly. By Kevin A. Dunlap, founder of Optimal Performance. And this thing I misspelled the word optimal. Now this is Grammarly right here. So this is an example of where Grammarly is going to tell you, hey, this is what you should be. So you're catching that. So now I'm going to get this Control A, Control C, and I'm going to copy it down here, Control V. Okay, so now I'm going to start getting SEO based upon the name off of my name as well as my company's name, and I'm going to turn this into the name of the family by together. So that's going to be the title of that. Now you also want to go down here to where they say the compression level. The compression level is how fast your blog is going to log up or load up. So normally what I would say is this is right now, this is a 311.2 gigabyte size file. That's a large file. So normally I would say go here to the compression level and go from none to high. And you will see that once that you saw that the screen just flashed there, now it's the size was reduced by over 60%. So that makes your website quicker. So for those of you who are just starting out, they probably won't tell you about this, but whenever you load images, make sure you actually change the compression level, because the speed of your website will also affect your SEO. So notice I actually did a search right before coming on here. I did a search for Life's Little Lessons, Kevin Dunlap. That was a podcast that I had back in 2017 and 2018. So if I'm going down and I'm looking only at the images, this is a picture of me. That's a picture of me. That's a black and white photo. That's a lady that was on my show. That's the photo that she used. That's the photo she used on my show. That's the photo he used on the show. So all these other people, these are guests on my show that are showing up. So this is how you start increasing your SEO to make sure that you're using that alt text and your description, especially using your name as much as possible. Does this make, before I go any further, this makes sense? I know we haven't even started talking about the blog yet. We're just getting ready for the blog. Got thumbs up? Yes, Robin, go ahead.
I never use anyone's image
You're cutting
besides
out.
my own. Wait a minute. I don't use anyone's image but my own. I am a professional speaker. So
Okay.
any image on my stuff is me.
That's fantastic. So that would be just like when I took that picture of the bank, just that whenever you are doing your blog, go to Canva and make sure that those pictures of you are all the same consistent size. I would suggest 16 by 9. Okay, so you can have any picture that you want. That's perfectly fine. Any other questions? And Genevieve, if you've got a question, just raise your hand, and I will. Because I don't see the chat right now. Does anybody, Jason or anybody else, or Sierra, any questions for anybody else before we move on? So is everybody good at what we've covered so far? Okay, cool, fantastic. So the next thing that we're going to be doing is now we're going to go into actually writing that blog. Now, one of the things that happens here whenever you're working with the images, notice that there is no save button. Okay, so once you make that change and you go to the next image and you were to go back, let's say I'm going to put the word low here, L-O, load there. I didn't save anything. I go to the next one, and then I come back. That oh, got to go back first. That low is still there. It automatically saves. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. So if you're doing a lot of changes, just make the change and then go to the next one, because there is no save button. So I'm going to go close that out, and I'm now going to go back to our post. Now, when you are writing a blog on WordPress, even if you're, again, I'm going to reiterate, even if your WordPress site is only for your blog and it's not for your website, there is one plugin that you definitely want to have. I'm going to go ahead and go to that. So here, this is where they say it's plugins. When you go to plugins, again, those are very much like an app on a telephone. These are just additional features that you can have. What you want to do here is, if you don't have any plugins yet, is to go ahead and click on Add New. For bloggers, the most important plugin that you can have is known as Yoast SEO. Okay, so and this is a free plugin. There are paid plugins and there's free ones. I'm going to go ahead and hit search, and I already have this one on my site. So you will see this Yoast SEO turn up, but it's going to say learn more or install. Since I already have it, it just says that, that I've actually not only downloaded it, but I've also activated it. So you want to make sure that you, after you install it, that you go ahead and activate it. Okay. So once that happens, once you actually do that, where's my cursor here? Once you do that and activate Yoast SEO, these 4 columns would then suddenly appear. These last 4 columns will suddenly appear. Okay, because these are Yoast SEO telltales. Now, when you start writing a new post, you want to go ahead and add new. And then you're going to get something that looks like this. I'm going to go and close those images on the bottom. So this is going to be where you put the title of your post, and then you're going to go ahead and start writing the content of your post. That's going to be in here in this big white box. And then we'll go down later on to discuss some more of this stuff, because like here's all the SEO, Yoast SEO stuff that we're going to be covering in just a moment. On the right hand side, you're going to see where you can publish it, or you can actually just save it as a draft. So when you're writing it, you want to go ahead and put that content there. Now, if you ever get writer's block, who in here by a show of hands has any experience using ChatGPT? So Robin does, Sierra does. So I'm assuming Jason and Genevieve do not. So one of the things I've done in the past is I'm going to go ahead and look at my blog. I wrote a blog on Monday, this one here. This entire blog was written by ChatGPT, or 90% of it was written by ChatGPT. This blog here, I wrote 100% myself because it came from one of the subchapters of my book, but I could not come up with a title to talk about, I asked ChatGPT to give me a title for a blog that talks about banking systems, how many bank accounts you should have. And this was the suggested title of that. So ChatGPT is something that you can use for free. And in all honesty, if you don't start using it, in my opinion, you're going to become outdated very, very soon with your online business. I would say embrace the new technology. Yes, Robin.
I write in a particular accent. Can you hear me?
Your microphone is breaking up really bad.
I can't imagine. Well, all right, I'll just be quiet. Forget it. Okay.
Okay.
I can hear you.
So for those of you that have not used GPT, this is the website that you're going to want to go to. Let me see here. Control C. Okay, I'm opening up the chat. So I just put in the chat the login for ChatGPT. So this is I don't know if you could write with an accent. I mean, if that puts like apostrophes in words like that, I'm sure you probably could. I mean, it's supposedly can do pretty much anything else. So when you first go there, you're going to log in or sign up. Again, this is free. And you create your account. And then this is what your dashboard is going to look like. Now with this here, whenever you're putting something inside what you want the ChatGPT to do, essentially what you wanted to do is give it some parameters. Don't just say, write me a blog. I would say something like, write me a blog between 400 and 600 words on a particular subject matter. For an example, let's go into let's do this in real time. I've never done this for this particular topics. Okay, and let's see what it says. So within about a minute, you will get that blog. Now, often the way you'll see a chat GPT, like when you're writing a blog, it's going to have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the second topic here. This tips for families who are working out together.
Is all
So
this
I'm going to open
copyrighted? We could use this
open
for
up.
free.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's so many things that you can do right now with this. So let me hide. I gotta hide my floating cursor. So just a second. You're not going to see this, but I'm actually going to create a new blank document. I'm going to go up here, copy everything. Control C. I'm going to put it into a Word file, and the Word file tells me it's 533 words long. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my blog, whichever tab it was, and I'm going to post it in there. Control V. So there is your ChatGPT blog. Notice that there are no red underlines. And I'm going to go back to chat again because you know what, I do like that title. So go back there, put that down as your title. So now you've got your blog basically written. Now I'm just doing this as an example because obviously you can write the blog yourself in its entirety. But now we're going to go and now we're going to make some changes inside this blog. Now, because one of the things that we always want to make sure that we have things that are keyword rich. We also want to make sure that we have things that are that has some links in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is we've got the title. Now, whenever you're writing a blog, and I'm going to say this is going to be true in WordPress or wherever, this is going to be known as a head, an H1, a header 1. It's what it stands for. If you don't know, if you know anything about coding. Everything else that we're going to be doing in this blog, as you'll see right now, this is what's known as a paragraph mode. Okay, so what I need right now is I need a subheading for this blog. And now since this is a subheading, this is going to be known as an H2. I'm going to go down here and choose a heading 2. Never use heading 1 inside the body of your blog. Always only use H2 or smaller. Okay, so this is kind of like whenever if you're doing an outline. So you always want to make sure that you're following the same kind of a parameter as an outline. And so regardless if you wrote this blog or ChatGPT wrote it, I had Chat do it because it was just for the to save time. And now I'm going to go inside here. Now, families who work out together, okay. Excellent way to reduce stress and improve mood and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it sounds good. I'm going to go, and this one, I'm going to have this as a second heading too. It may not be the best way to do this, but that's what I'm, actually, I'm going to go back and put this in paragraph mode and put ellipses after it and take out all the, because I'm not using this as a heading anymore. So I need to take out all the capital letters. And now I'm going to go down to here, and this part, this is where we're going to have another heading. This is going to be your heading 3. This is your subheading. Then I took out that number 2. I'm going to put that as a heading 3. Come down here, take that out. Oops. Notice once I hit the heading, I don't have to highlight the entire row. I just have to do is be somewhere in that row. It doesn't matter if I'm at the beginning, the middle, or the end. So I'm going to move the cursor to put it in between the L and the E in role modeling. I'm going to make that a heading 3. I'm going to keep scrolling down. Families who work out together. Okay, so this is going to be another heading 2. heading 3. So this has a lot of numbering in this one. So usually your subheadings are not going to be this this short in content. Conclusion. Let's make that a heading 2. Keep scrolling down, and there we go. Now you've got your blog written. Okay, so you've got your blog, you've got your title. On the right hand side, I'm going to scroll down to this area that is called featured image. Oops, that is called featured image. So let's go ahead and set that featured image. We're going to use this one here, which already has the alt text and the description that we already put in before. Set the featured image. And now, as far as the blog is concerned, the in front of the scenes is at this point you're done, but you have not optimized it. So if I were to go up here now, I can go up here and hit publish. Now, other things that you may also want to do is if you're putting things into categories, let's say this was about fitness and credit. And then I may want to start putting in some tags. Tags are going to be, what are some things that this blog is about that some of your other blogs could also be about. So that's where you're putting your tags. Now what we're going to be doing, now that we've gotten the blog written, we now want to optimize it. And this is why I like WordPress and why I like Yoast SEO. So I'm scrolling down to where I'm at the point right now where I'm in the SEO. I'm in the SEO tab. It's telling me right now my SEO sucks. It's got a red frowny face. My readability is considered green and is smiling. In Yoast SEO, you get 3 categories: green for great, yellow for okay, red for needs work. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to talk about in this blog is a focus key phrase. Now, this is a word or a small group of words that are being repeated frequently in the blog. So let's go back and let's just call it this. In this case, let's just go ahead and talk this. In this case, I'm just going to say the word workout. Now, this key phrase, you could go into your keywords everywhere and do a Google search to find other descriptions that you may want to use as well, or make sure that those are inside the blog. So I'll just put the word workout in. You will see now I went from red to yellow. Okay, just by putting that in there. Now, this is how the blog is going to appear if it were to show up on a search engine. So it's got the image, it's got the name of the title, and then it has that little dash after it. So let's go ahead and work on how that shows up. The first thing that we're going to look at, the first thing we're going to come to is something known as the slug. This is a group of words again, or a group of words with no spaces. And what can this be? Basically, what is the topic of this particular blog? I'm just going to go ahead and put in work dash out to try to keep it as close as possible to my focus key phrase. When I go down a little bit further, it says you want to write a meta description. Now, this meta description is going to be short and it's going to appear right here. That where it says, please provide a meta description. That's where it's going to appear. Families who work out together. So notice this thing is showing yellow right now. You want to get this where you have enough characters that this turns green. If you have too many characters, it's going to turn red. So you want to make sure you don't overdo with the number of characters. And again, I'm using the key phrase again in that description. That's going to help with your SEO. So we want to be very deliberate in that slug focus keyword and this meta description and the meta description. So families who work out together have stronger bonds by doing family things that brings everyone together. And I put a period there, but that is still showing as yellow as one unit. So you can see here, you can see it now that it appears there next to that image, and this is that meta description. Normally what I do right here is I go ahead and get this and I'm going to copy it. So I'm hitting Control C. I'm going to scroll down a little bit further, and that's basically all that I need to worry about. So notice I still have a yellow smiley face. So let's go in and hit that little down arrow to see what else that you could be doing or that we could be doing. Everything here that's in red are things that should be in your blog. And then also this one here is saying that it's okay. So the image on this page do not have attributes with at least one of the words in your key phrase. So that basically means my media needs to have the word work out in that image. Okay. So I'm going to go up here and save this as a draft. And then I'm going to go back to my media to change that image, that description in the image. So click on the image, family time together, and I'm going to say, since I used the word work out, I'm going to have to use the exact same words in the alt text, because if I say working out, this is not going to trigger it, because this is how a computer thinks, not how a person thinks. So I'm going to come here, hit Control A, Control C, go down here, hit Control A, Control V, and then I can close that out. Go back to my post. And when you're going into this, you always want to work this as the classic editor. So you want to make note of that, not the block editor, but the classic editor. And you will see, I'm going to go ahead and go back one screen. Notice that this one here says the word draft, because we have not published it yet. So let's go back to the classic editor. And I'm going to scroll down just a touch. So right now, this SEO is still saying we're still at a yellow. We'll see that below, but this is a little quick look here on the right-hand side. So I'm going to scroll back down, and two things you always have to have in your blog that really makes it stand out as far as SEO is concerned is having at least one outbound link. That means you have one link going to another credible website. Also, you should have at least 2 internal links. Now, when you're first starting out, you may not have so many internal links, but as you start building the number of blogs that you have, now you'll want your link to go to different blogs. So let's show you how to fix that. I'm going to go back up, and we're talking. So let's go ahead and use this word reduce stress as a link to going somewhere else. Okay, I'm just randomly picking this as a reason. I'm going to go to Google. Actually, listen, I have a tendency to go to Wikipedia as my outbound link most of the time, because Wikipedia is one of the most credible websites out there. I'm going to put in Control A. What to do this? Reduce stress. And maybe I'll go hit this one that says stress management. I get this URL, go up here, get that URL, Control C, go back to my blog, and I've got this highlighted. And now I'm going to hit this little link button, this little chain here. That's how you create a link inside of a blog. Normally when this pops up, I always hit the gear button. And now inside the first selection, it says URL. That's when I'm going to put in the URL. The second thing is just below where the text is, there's a little box, is open link in a new tab. Now, one of the things that you need to always be aware of when you're building a website is to never, ever have somebody click on a link that takes them off your website while they're on your website. So you always want to have them open this up in a new tab. So therefore, the tab that their original was on they're still on your website. So if you take them away, they may have a hard time coming back. Go ahead and hit the blue button that says add link. Now you have the outbound link, as you can see right there. And then let's do an inbound link. An inbound link is anywhere that you're going to be going on from something that you're talking about in your blog that's going to go to another part of your website. Let's say I'm going to go ahead and choose this one. I choose this blog just as an example. I'm going to hit Control C, go back to my blog, and it doesn't matter where I'm putting it right now because this is just as an example. And I'm going to say I'm going to put it right there, for whatever reason. Click that button or that icon. Hit the little gear button. Control V, and this is already pre-checked. So go ahead and hit add link. Now, if you were to go down here to SEO, you see now we have a green light there. That's Yoast saying that your SEO is primo. We also have, I'm going to go back and get that description, this meta description, and we're just about done. I'm going to hit Control C. And I'm going to go under readability. Readability says that everything looks good. It says the only error is this: I'm using only 26.2% of the sentences contain transition words, which is not enough. Use more of them. Now notice it has a little eyeball right there. I'll click on that eyeball, and it's going to show me what sentences are actually that this is applying to. So I'll go back up here and say these are my transition sentences that I'm using properly. So you can go and make changes. Sometimes they may say you have 25.2% of your sentences have more than 30 words, or you have three consecutive sentences starting with the same word, like he, or she. So you want to go there and change that. Okay, that's what that purple eyeball does. Now, the one that most people tend to forget when they're doing this SEO is to go over here to the this last tab called social. So go ahead and click on that. So whenever you're going to be posting your ad on social, what image is going to appear? So this is where you control your images. So I just click on that. I'm going to use the same image, and I'm going to hit select, and that's the image. The description that I copied earlier, I'm just going to put it there. This is for Facebook. Scroll a little bit further down. Do the exact same thing for Twitter. Select the image. Select. And now we've got to have the Twitter title as well as the Facebook title. I have a tendency just to get the title of the blog. Control V. And now you're completely set up to publish your blog. Your image is optimized. Your SEO for your website is optimized. You've got links going out. You've got links going in to your website. If you're going to be sharing this on social media, for anybody who's going to be sharing this on social media, these are the images that you picked out for Twitter as well as Facebook. Because if you end up, let's say you copy a post and then you as a new post and then you just overwrite it, be careful that you go to this social media to change these images, because you will also say, let me post this thing on Facebook, and you got the wrong image in place. Then you got to go back and delete it and fix everything. So this is where you can control that. So at this point in time, you're ready to go. You've got the 3 green lights. The SEO, readability, got social going. Everything else looks good. Now I can go ahead and hit publish. And once this little squirrely thing goes away, or this thing up here stops squirreling at the top of the tab, now I can go to my my blog on my website, and there's that blog. So now you've got it completely set up. Now, one thing I also do, because now if So now let's go ahead and take a look at it, see what it looks like, what other people will see. They will see that image that you optimized, you edited on Canva, and you optimized, you downloaded from Unsplash. There's that. You can see like here's the header 2, here's the header 3. So you can see that they are a little bit different. Because this is why you do not want have this, because this is a header 1. So that's why you do not want this as a header 1. It will conflict with this between the two. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense. Okay, so not quite so much. Now, one of the other things that I often will do, and if you're going to be doing a lot of blogging, is I would suggest you go to another website called LinkedIn. And now you can start, you can either share your this link on your Facebook or LinkedIn, or what I typically do is instead of sharing it, I'll go here and hit Control A, Control C for the entire blog part, and I'll go to LinkedIn, and I will go to my profile as an example. And what I ended up doing was I went ahead and created a, where's it? I'm create a newsletter, and then I just I add the article as a new content in my newsletter. So I'm basically I'm just copying the contents of the blog into the newsletter. So now you've got by doing that, now you have all those inbound, all those internal links that you had on your website are now external links coming to your website. So yet another way SEO is going to be helping on your website. So that's pretty much it. I know I went through a lot pretty quickly. What questions do you guys have? And what else do I need to go over again?
What's a good amount of plugins to have, like too much or too little?
What was that again, Jason?
What's a good amount of plugins to have? Is there such thing as having too much or too little?
Yeah, well, there isn't such a thing as having too much, because the more plugins that you have, the more likelihood that they're going to conflict with each other. So another plugin that I would strongly suggest that you have is called Updraft Plus. That's how you back up your website. So every time you I get a new plugin, you want to back up your website in case that plugin crashes your site. You can go back and restore to a previous setting. So that is one that you definitely want to have. And all the plugins that I have are free. So, and I have about 30 something plugins, but I would say the fewer that you have, the better. But don't just say, well, I don't want to get that one because it gives me one more plugin if it's going to do something useful for your website. Okay. Now, if you're building a WordPress website, then I would suggest having this one called Elementor as well. Elementor is, I'll show you what Elementor is. Elementor does not work with blogs, it works with your pages. So if I were to go to my pages as an example, and I'll pick one at random. Let me talk about my business Kickstarter solo. I'm going to, instead of editing it with a classic editor, I'm going to edit this one with Elementor. And for those of you who may have Wix websites or Squarespace or any of those other ones that have what they call the drag and drop, where you get like, I want to move an image over and then and do that. So I'll scroll down and I can do the exact same thing here. I can go, let me put in a header here. So that's this Elementor right there. That's how you build your pages for your website. Let me think what else. I'm not going to save this, but those are some of the more important ones. Anybody else have any questions? If I went over too fast, yes,
can
Robin.
you hear me this time? Can you hear me now? Change the type.
I can hear you now.
Okay. When I did, I mean, I've done a website. I've had one for God knows 20 years or something. And I started off in Blogger, and I see that you're not going over Blogger. And now I use really what I was coming for was to find out about how often I should put something in the blog, because I have a blog on Facebook called Stories from the Bayou, because I'm a professional speaker. And if I put images up, they're going to be pictures of me. So maybe I was curious as to what caused you to be less interested in Blogger, because I found that easy to work with.
The reason I and I've had a blogger before, but it's been at least 10 years since I've been on it. The reason I go with WordPress is because my I keep my blog and my regular website all as one unit. So everything is together rather than having as two separate entities.
Oh, well, I have two different places. I have, my website, which I'd send stuff to my website designer and manager, and she puts stuff up whenever I have a gig, which is usually a video and or something to put in my calendar, like where am I speaking next? And then I do blogs on Facebook about storytelling.
Okay. But the main thing for the blogs, not only does it show your expertise, but it's also you're trying to get people, more people to come to your website, and assuming of course that your website is one that does convert.
My business is sort of a niche thing. I mean, not many people know that you can make a full-time living as a professional storyteller, and that's what I do. And when you say that, people make the assumption that you're sitting on the floor with a book and you're reading to children, and that's nothing related to what I do.
No.
I'm a public speaker, and so that's why I do the blog, so people will understand the difference. Oftentimes, why would you pay me to do that? Because you're just reading, and I'm not. I mean, I just did a gig at East Carolina University, and they paid me nicely. So, you can make a living at it. But anyway, I just wondered about Blogger. I'll be quiet now.
Well, Blogger is a perfect platform to use. I've not done much with them in the last 10 years, so I don't know exactly what they look like these days. But but the thing is, whenever you're writing a blog, you want to make sure that each blog is its own page. You don't want to be a blog with another blog in its entirety, all as one page. That just does not help. The other reason I use WordPress for the blog is because as far as SEO is concerned, as far as Google is concerned, or any of the search engines are concerned, if your website does not have any changes to it for a while, Google is going to rank you as a lower priority. So for me, having everything going through the optimalperformanceacademy.org here and everything, because my blog will come in that blue area, my pages are in that blue area. So by having that additional blog will show that my website is more relevant. If you've got them as two separate entities, then yes, if you're doing a lot with your blog, then what you need to do on your personal page, whichever one that you're using, is you need to reference that blog. Okay, because you want to make sure that they're being tied together, because when you're trying to do both as separate entities, that becomes where things can be a little bit more difficult to show your relevance as far as search engines are concerned. Does that make sense?
To work that off, and that's probably the way. And my web manager has the thing linked, and I don't need to make a full-time living anymore, because I was an engineer and I'm retired, but I'm a professional speaker. So if I speak twice a month, that's enough for me.
Okay, that's good. Now, Sierra, Jason, or Genevieve, I know Genevieve can only do the texting or chatting. Does Sierra or Jason, do you have any questions?
No, it was pretty thorough. I just have to, play around with it, and then maybe I'll have questions.
Okay. Now I'm going to put it into a chat, because anybody that comes to my meetings, I do set up, we can actually have a one-on-one, a free one-on-one with each other. So I'm going to go put my calendar link in the chat box. And I'm going to make sure that's working. And it is working. So I just put that in the chat box. So for those of you who want to schedule a 1 hour private consultation, either building websites to talk about your business or something like that, we will do that. You guys can click on that and then just pick a time that best suits you. That is connected to my calendar, and I believe it goes out like 3 weeks into the future. So if the time does not fit in the next 3 weeks, then wait until next week, and then more time slots will open up. So that's what I had for the blogging. I know it's a lot of information, but let me give you the other websites that you can get images from. So we talked about Unsplash. Yeah, another one that you can use is one that's called Pexels. Okay, so you can see on here, if I were typing the word bicycle, most likely I'm going to get different images. Now, if you're doing something like this here, like say, if you're going to be doing a 16:9 format using Canva to reshape your images, and this is where Robin could actually come into some possible issues. Is there's a good chance with her photos, I'm not saying that they are, there's a good chance that most of them are going to be in this in portrait mode and not in landscape mode, and that 16:9 is landscape mode. So if you do have one like this, and say you liked that image, and when you hit the free download, you can see it showed up there. I'm going to go to Canva, create a design, presentation 16:9. So resizing this, as you can see, when you start doing portrait mode, can throw off your scale a little bit. I'm going to just stretch this to the right. This image would probably not look cool without his head. So you can see, even because I'm using that image, it's so zoomed in, the bottom wheels are taken out of that photo. So you want to be, when you download these, make sure you try to get ones that are square mode or in some type of landscape mode. So these vertical ones may not always work. The third a place that you can go to get image is called Pixabay. Now with this one here, I'd like about this is not only can you get images here, but you can also go ahead and get illustrations and vectors. So let's say I want to do a bicycle for the image. Now be careful, these ones up top, these are going to be these are sponsored ones, those are paid ones. So with that being said, now I can start going down and picking even more pictures. If you cannot find something on the other two, this is a great one. But let's say you're being creative, you don't want an image. Let's say you want an illustration, you want somebody that drew an image for whatever reason. So you maybe use this one here. Okay, so that's the great thing about Pixabay, is that you can have that. Another thing that you can do is you can also get video. Now, these is going to be like up to 20 or 30 seconds of video with no sound. I'll play. So if I chose that one, I'm not going to turn on the audio, but there's just is no audio. So, for example, maybe this is something that you're using in your blog or on your website or something along those lines there. And the last free place to get images is called freepick.com. Okay. Now, remember, whenever you're creating a PowerPoint presentation, a slideshow, a blog image or whatever that you're going to be selling, you need to make sure that you're not using copyrighted images. So these are 4 websites that you can use to get those free images. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen at the moment so that we can have a final discussion. And so does anybody have any other questions before we just go ahead and sign off for today? Well, I want to say thank y'all for showing up. There was like 17 people that signed up to be here. 5 of y'all showed up. One was the one that the lady with Karina. I guess she had to go because she was at work when she signed in. If there's no other questions, you've got my calendar there in the calendar link. And thank y'all for coming today. And I will be probably doing another one, another thing like this, not a bloggers one, but on another topic. So if you're not part of the Raleigh-Durham Small Business Owners Meetup, go ahead and join. It doesn't matter if you're in Toronto or I think you said what, St. Louis. It doesn't matter where you're going to be because most of these are going to be online anyway. And if no other questions, I want to say thank y'all for showing. Thank you. And happy Mother's Day, ladies.